Hi, I'm attorney Gregory Dell, joined by attorney Rachel Alters, and we're going to discuss one of Rachel's recent success stories against a Prudential long-term disability insurance company. And Rachel, in this video, I want to talk about the background of the case, the facts and circumstances of why this particular claimant was denied, the strategies you took, and then provide some tips for people that they could take away from this video that may help them with their claim. So let's get right into the background of this particular claim.
This is a claim about a JP Morgan Chase branch bank manager who worked at the bank for over 10 years, and then he ended up having severe back issues and underwent many back surgeries. He had a laminectomy that failed. He had some other issues with his L-spine, and he wasn't able to stand for long periods, sit for long periods. And as a branch manager, one of the requirements is you do have to stand and walk around the bank a lot, and then then he also has to sit at his desk and do a lot of computer work. So he was in a lot of pain, and they approved his benefits. They paid him for 3 years, actually, even into any gainful occupation period, where after 24 months it changes the definition from whether you can do your own job to whether you can do any gainful job. Prudential approved him into that period as well and continued to pay his benefits. And then one day out of the blue, they just cut him off. They decided that he was fine to work now, that miraculously his back was better, and that he can sit at a desk 40 hours a week.
Okay, and so when you say they cut him off, what was the basis of their denial?
It was odd because he had had a functional capacity evaluation done while he was on claim. One of his doctors, his neurologist, recommended that he go have one. And the functional capacity evaluation, the report was supportive of his inability to work in any sedentary job. So it basically said that he can't sit for long periods of time due to the pain he's in. He can't stand for long periods or lift greater than 5 pounds. However, they followed him with surveillance, and they saw him going to a grocery store and carrying a couple bags while using a cane to walk, and they used that as one of their bases for cutting him off, saying, well, if you could do this activity, then apparently you can work full time.
Okay, there's a lot of issues I want to go back and cover with you. The first one being the definition of disability. Can you clarify what that was?
Yes, so the first 24 months of disability is whether he is able to do the material substantial duties of his own job as a bank branch manager.
And when you break down the responsibilities of that job, did they classify that as a sedentary job or a light duty type job?
A light duty job.
Okay, and what's the difference?
The difference is the amount of weight you're able to lift, and then whether you need to be on your feet more than sitting most of the day.
Okay, and then after 24 months, they paid him the whole 24 months, no problem.
Right.
But then the definition of disability changed, and what did it change to?
It changed to whether he could perform any gainful occupation that he was educated to do by his education background, etc. So whatever he was qualified to do, and normally that's a sedentary job, sitting at a desk, at a computer all day long. And they said that he was capable of doing that, but that was after year 3. So they paid him for a year under he can't do any gainful occupation because he was in too much pain while sitting.
Was the gainful occupation, did it have any income component tied to it? Meaning, what was that?
Right,
what is
so
that?
It's whether you can earn, you have to also be able to earn 80% of your pre-disability income, as well as not being able to do the sedentary job.
Okay, so when you got their denial, what was your strategy moving forward?
Well, what we did was, because the FCE was already supportive, which baffled us, because usually what happens is these insurance carriers will send you for an FCE. It will come back as, stating that you're able to do a sedentary job, and that that your restrictions and limitations aren't exactly what your doctors are claiming. This FCE report didn't say that. It was actually very supportive of his inability to do sedentary work. So what we did was we sent all of his medical records, the FCE report, to a vocational expert.
Can you just clarify what the FCE stands for?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a functional capacity evaluation. So that's basically a 3 to 4 hour test that's performed by a physical therapist that determines how long you can sit, stand, climb, stoop, bend, lift, all of that.
And is it objective or subjective, that particular test?
It's subjective because there's a lot of testing, and you get the raw data that shows, the amount that you can lift, the amount of, time you can stand, how long you can sit, and it also measures the pain that you're in. They will measure your heart rate, etc.
Okay, so you had the FCE report, which was done already before he was denied. Now, did Prudential have that FCE when they denied him?
They did.
Okay.
They did. They reviewed that, and they still went forward with surveillance, hoping to catch him doing something that he claimed he couldn't do. And they said, well, these activities are beyond the scope of what you claimed you could do, so therefore we're cutting you off.
All right. So, again, what was it that you were able to do in your appeal to help him win his benefits?
Okay, so I mentioned that we hired a vocational expert, and what we did was we sent him all the medical records, the FCE report, the job description, and what a sedentary job would require, which he already knew. He reviewed all of that data and determined that based on everything that there was no job in the job market that he could reasonably do with the condition that he was in, the pain that he was suffering. The FCE report was very supportive. His doctors all said he had permanent injury, that this wasn't going to get better, that this was a permanent total disability. So we used all of those things to refute the fact that Prudential used a snippet of time to show that he could actually go back to work when that really didn't prove anything.
Why did you think it was important to use a vocational expert, and what is a vocational expert?
A vocational expert is somebody who is a specialist in, reviewing people's medical records, their job descriptions, looking at the job market and looking to see what's out there as far as job types, what they're paying, types of salaries, and what's available in people's certain areas that they live in. And what they do is they do an analysis and they prepare a very lengthy report that details everything, including the medical records, the medical condition, the doctor's opinions, the job description and everything, and they put it all together and they render an opinion at the end, stating whether they believe it or not that they could go back to work and find some work under the definition of disability in the person's policy.
And so, but it sounds like, and I know you have to put together a lot of information just to get to the vocational expert.
Right.
Does Prudential, in this case, have their own vocational experts?
Prudential does, and a lot of times they didn't in this situation, but they often use their vocational experts in order to deny the claims as well. So they will have their voc experts review the same things that our vocational experts review, render an opinion that, oh, there's 3 or 4 different jobs within a 1-hour radius of somebody's home that we believe that they are qualified to perform. Therefore, since these jobs are available, we think they could do a sedentary job. He or she can go back to work, and they use these experts to help them deny claims.
But they didn't even do that in this particular case.
Not in this claim, no.
So it sounds like Prudential did almost nothing on the denial. I mean, they relied basically on the video surveillance, you were saying?
Yeah, it was surprising. When we reviewed it all, it was, well, there was not much that really supported the fact that he could go back to work. It was almost as if they were just looking for something and one reason to cut him off.
Was there anything inconsistent seen on the video that he had reported that he was doing, that he reported to someone that he couldn't do?
He may have said that he wasn't, able to do his shopping on his own, or that he couldn't lift certain things, and that's why it's really important. I always tell my clients, make sure when you're doing your initial applications or when you're filling out any updated claim forms that you don't state anything that you're not able to do that you actually do on the occasion do. Right. Because if you say, oh, I could never go to the grocery store, or I could never lift more than a gallon of milk, or I can't sit for more than 5 minutes, and then they catch you doing those things, that's when they take the opportunity to cut you off. So I usually say, don't make general, statements that you can never ever do anything.
Was there anything, looking back at this claim now, was there anything that this particular claimant could have done to help avoid a denial?
I mean, if you really claim that he couldn't do the grocery shopping, then you really have to make sure that you don't do those type of things. So just be very mindful when you're leaving your home. Now, under these policies, you're not required to be homebound or bedridden or anything
Right.
like that when you qualify for disability. So it's just really important to be mindful of what you told the insurance carrier versus what you're doing on a daily basis. That's very important. And just make sure that your doctors are also documenting all your restrictions and limitations, and even if you've had a situation or you've had a condition for a really long time and you feel like this is a total disability and you're never going to get better, still make sure you're treating, because the insurance carrier is looking for records and they want to see that you're consistently treating.
And so now I know that you won the appeal. You continue to monitor the claim for your particular client and make sure there's no gaps or holes in any of the medical records, and you do all the communications with Prudential moving forward. So I'm sure the client's thrilled. It was a great success in this particular case. If you're someone out there with a Prudential long-term disability insurance claim, feel free to call Rachel or myself or any of our lawyers. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to assist you, and we look forward to the opportunity to provide you with a free consultation and discuss your claim. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process, and when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search, plus we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.